Welcome back, dear listeners, to yet another episode of Chronicles of Love, brought to you by Sai Aashraya. Sai Aashraya's volunteers would every weekend meet a group of leprosy patients who hailed from Dharmapuri district, Tamil Nadu, and they would come to Bangalore and sit under this railway bridge and they would be collecting alms. Sai Aashraya's volunteers would go, serve them some food, give them new clothes, give them vessels, and would come away. But during our interactions with them over a long period of time, the need for doing something concrete was always being felt. And one day we decided that we need to go and actually ask these people that how can we be of better service to you. So we went and requested these people one day, and I vividly remember it was the third week of December, and we said, why don't you all come home on Christmas Day and share your experiences, share your thoughts, and let us know and give us the opportunity to be of some seva to you. And after a lot of discussion though, they agreed, and about 25 of them came home on Christmas Day. Dear listeners, many of these leprosy patients don't have fingers and toes like us. It's very difficult for them to move around, do their daily work. And on that morning, we were sitting and feeding them breakfast as they can't eat on their own. And as our volunteers were serving them breakfast and feeding them breakfast, one of the aunties started crying. And just as we were thinking, why is she crying and why is she breaking down, she herself asked a question and answered it, and that changed everything. The auntie asked, do you know why we are all crying today? We are crying today because this is the first time that we are being treated like normal human beings. Even if you would have handed us each 10,000 rupees, we wouldn't be so happy. We are just so happy to be treated just like normal people. When she said this, there was complete silence. Nobody moved and everybody was in tears. And when we asked her further, that is when she said, what you see here is just a small group of us, but there is a whole village where just us leprosy patients and our families live. And do you know why we come to Bangalore to ask for alms? We come here because we collect all our alms together, go to hostels far away from where our village is, and go and put our children in those hostels because we don't want them to go through the same plight as us. Then she explained, she said, we are treated like outcasts. Nobody comes and talks to us. Nobody comes and helps us out. We are sick. We don't know what to do. And when we heard this, we said, Amma, stop. We want to come to your village and see what best we can do. So without wasting any time, a group of doctors and volunteers, all of us together, we traveled to this village in Dharmapuri district. And what welcomed us was a shocking thing. There were 3 elderly men at the entrance of the village, at the courtyard. They were itching their bodies against the sand there. There was blood and pus oozing out. They were groaning in pain. There were maggots going all around their body. And nobody was there to help them. And the worst part, some person with the wrong intention got a bottle of alcohol, gave it to them and said, just drink this and your pain will go away. They didn't have the right intentions. They wanted to grab what little these people had. And without wasting any time, we went ahead, lifted these people, bathed them clean, dressed their leprosy wounds, and as the people in the village were wondering what's going on, we got all of them together, and just 80-90 of the 200 people who lived there, and we made an announcement. We said, we want to adopt this village and do something concrete. We really want to take this opportunity. So please give us this opportunity to be of some service to all of you. And when we said this, a person from behind just laughed sarcastically and said that, sir, so many people have said this and gone and nobody has ever come back. We were shocked and we didn't know how to reply to that impactful statement. We saw that many of these people were exposed to drinking alcohol, consuming tobacco, and the reason they would give is to get rid of the pain, to get rid of the pain. So we went ahead and replied saying, sir, if we make that pain of yours go away and you're happy, would you just give up drinking and smoking? And we don't know what came over this person. He came crawling all the way. He can't walk. A leprosy patient. He came crawling 80-100 meters and slammed his hand on the village deity and said, sir, I'm telling you, you make this pain go away and I will give up drinking and smoking. There were 80 people watching him and everybody was in tears. And one by one people came and they said, you have our complete support and go ahead and do whatever you want to do. So that was the first time that we learnt about what goes into adopting a village. And at that time, the first thing that struck us was most of these people were malnourished. They had not eaten well in many days and probably months. So the first thing that we did was got provisions for all the 80 families that lived there. And till today, every month we go there on the third Sunday. And what we started doing was the same Medicare camp in Bangalore, we started replicating in this village. All our doctors would go there, the equipment. And now Sai Aashraya's mobile Medicare unit, a state-of-the-art mobile Medicare unit also goes there. And we go ahead and start treating these patients. And when we first started off, the focus was to curb the spread of leprosy. Leprosy is not a contagious disease, but the stigma that comes with it is immense. And that was impacting them more than the disease itself. So we would do leprosy dressing, counsel them, and as we started treating them is when we found out that many of them were diabetic, hypertensive, but did not even know. Their heads would spin as their blood pressure went up, but they wouldn't know that it's hypertension because they had never visited a doctor. And so as we started treating these people, it gave us great joy. And parallelly what we started doing was serving these provisions, of course. We identified people with hands and legs who could move around, cook food and give it to the rest of them. So we would hand out extra provisions to such people and made sure that nobody slept hungry. Yet again, dear listeners, it was not just about providing food and giving medicines. It was about doing something in a holistic way. So what we started doing was naturally sitting there, spending more time with these people. We started celebrating all the major festivals in the village, especially major festivals like Deepavali, like Ganesh Chaturthi or other festivals. And it gave great joy to all the people of the village because it had been many years since they had celebrated a festival like that together. And every 2 months once, we would host a grand lunch inside the village with nice plantain leaves laid out, and we would go and make them eat marriage type food, which would give them great joy. And as we started working this way, naturally there were multiple challenges. Some of the people did not even want us to come over here and work because they said, why are you interacting with all these people? It would be bad omen. And while we put efforts in shutting all this noise out, we realized the bond that was building, the bond of love that was emerging between us and the people of the village. And to share about this special bond, today we are going to play to you a small audio clip of Ramamurthy Tata, one of the elders in the village. Let us listen to him and his experience.
தொழுநோயால் பாதிக்கப்பட்டு ஒரு சமுதாயத்திலிருந்து ஒதுக்கப்பட்ட நிலையில் வாழும் மக்கள் மட்டுமே இங்கு வாழ்கிறோம். இங்கு வாழும் மக்களிலே தங்களுடைய பிள்ளைகளுக்காகவும் அவர்கள் இங்கே வாழ்ந்து வருகிறார்கள். அவர்கள் இதுவரை பற்பல கிராமங்களுக்கும் நகரங்களுக்கும் சென்று பிச்சை எடுப்பதை தொழிலாக கொண்டு வாழ்ந்து வந்தவர்கள். அப்படி வாழும் காலத்திலே மற்றவர்களால் ஏற்படும் பலவித கஷ்டங்களுக்கு உள்ளாக்கப்பட்டவர்கள். அவர்கள் வாழும் காலத்திலே நிரந்தர வருவாய் எதுவும் அவர்களுக்கு இருப்பது இல்லை. நண்பர்களே, தொழுநோயால் பாதிக்கப்பட்ட குடும்பங்கள் வாழும் இந்த கிராமத்தில் சாய் ஆஸ்ரயா கிராமம், இந்த கிராமத்தை இந்த நிறுவனம் தத்தெடுத்து கொண்ட பிறகு இங்கு வாழும் மக்கள் பிச்சை எடுப்பதையே தொழிலாக கொண்டு வாழ்ந்த காலத்தை மாற்றி அவர்களுடைய வாழ்க்கை மேம்பாடு அடைய மேற்படி இந்த சாய் நிறுவனம் மிகுந்த அக்கறை கொண்டு சிறப்பாக செயல்படுகிறது. அப்படி செயல்படும் விதமானது மக்களுக்கு முடிந்தவர்களுக்கு வேலை கொடுக்கலாம், முடியாதவர்களுக்கு என்ன செய்யலாம் என்றால் அவர்களுடைய அந்த சாப்பாட்டு பிரச்சனையை தீர்த்து வைப்பது. அரிசி கொடுக்கிறார்கள், பருப்பு அது மிக பெரிய தேவையானது, அதையும் கொடுக்கிறார்கள். உடல் ஆரோக்கியத்துடனும் கை கால்கள் மூட்டு வலிகள் இதெல்லாம் குறையவும் பலவித நன்மைகளை உள்ளடக்கிய கொண்டற்கடலையை இனாமாக தருகிறார்கள். அடுத்தபடியாக சைவ உணவே நமக்கு சிறந்தது என்பதை எடுத்து காட்டும் வண்ணமாக கீரையையும் அவர்களே வாங்கி கொடுத்து அதை சாப்பிட வைத்து அவர்களுடைய நோய்களிலிருந்து அவர்களை மீண்டு வெளியே வர ஏதுவாக அவர்கள் வழிகாட்டுகிறார்கள். இப்படியாக தேவைப்பட்டவர்களுக்கு தகுந்த மருத்துவ வசதியும் அவர்கள் மாதம் ஒரு முறை வந்து தவறாமல் செய்கிறார்கள். அதன் பலனாக பலருக்கு இதய நோயிலிருந்து மேம்பாடு அடைந்திருக்கிறார்கள். அவர்கள் கொடுக்கும் மருந்துக்கள், ஊசிகள் இதையெல்லாம் அந்த மக்களுக்கு மிகவும் பயனுள்ளவையாக இருப்பதை நாங்கள் கண்கூடாக காண்கிறோம். சாய் அவர்களுடைய ஆசியின் பெற்ற அந்த மக்கள் எங்களிடையே வந்து தொண்டாற்றும் பொழுது பீடி, புகையிலை, மது இது போன்ற பொருள்களை உபயோகிப்பதை அவர்கள் ஒதுக்கிவிட வேண்டுகோளாக வைக்கிறார்கள். அப்படி வைக்கப்பட்டதிலே ஏறக்குறைய ஒரு 50 ஆண்டு காலமாக புகை பிடித்து வந்த ராமமூர்த்தி என்கிற நான் பீடி புகைப்பதை அறவே நிறுத்திவிட்டேன். யாருக்காக சொல்கிறார்கள்? யார் வாழ அவர்கள் சொல்கிறார்கள்? வாழப்போவது இன்னும் கொஞ்ச நாள் தான். அதுவரை ஆரோக்கியமாக இருந்துவிட்டு வாழ்ந்து மறைந்தால் மற்றவர்களுக்கும் அது ஒரு பாடமாக இருக்கும் என்பதை அவர்கள் எடுத்து சொன்ன விதம் என்னுடைய இதயத்தை தொட்டதனால் நான் பீடி புகைப்பதை நிறுத்திவிட்டேன். இப்படியாக சமுதாயம் மேம்பாடு அடைய மக்கள் அவர்கள் நோய்களிலிருந்து மீண்டு வந்து சிறப்பாக வாழ, தெளிவாக வாழ அவர்கள் வழிகாட்டுகிறார்கள். அவர்கள் செய்யும் இந்த அளப்பரிய சேவை எங்களுக்கு மிகுந்த மனநிறைவை தருகிறது. அதனால் அவர்களுடைய சேவை தொடர நாங்கள் பல்லாண்டு வாழவும் அவர்கள் எடுத்துக்கொள்ளும் முயற்சிகளுக்காக நாங்கள் அவர்களை வாழ்த்துகிறோம். இப்படியாக தேவைப்பட்ட மருந்துகள் எதுவுமே தவறில்லை என்று சொல்லும் தவறாமல் இருக்கிறது என்று கொடுக்கிறார்கள். டாக்டர்கள் எழுதும் எந்த மருந்தும் கிடைப்பது கஷ்டம் என்று அவர்கள் சொல்வதில்லை. கஷ்டமான மருந்துகளை கூட அவர்கள் தேடி எடுத்து கொண்டு வந்து எங்களுக்கு கொடுக்கிறார்கள். இப்படியாக அவர்கள் செய்யும் இந்த சேவை எங்களுக்கு மிகுந்த மன மகிழ்ச்சியையும் தருகிறது என்பது உண்மை. இப்படியாக மற்றபடி துணிமணிகள் எங்களுக்கு அவர்கள் வழங்கி கொண்டு இருக்கிறார்கள். அதை பற்றியும் அவர்கள் மிகுந்த சிரமம் எடுத்துக்கொள்கிறார்கள். அடுத்தபடியாக திருவிழா நாட்கள், அந்த திருவிழா நாட்களை அவர்கள் எங்களோடு கொண்டாடும் வண்ணமாக எங்களிடையே வந்து ஐக்கியமாக்கி விடுகிறார்கள். இப்படியாக அவர்கள் செய்யும் அந்த உற்சாகமான காரியங்கள் எங்களை மேன்மேலும் உற்சாகப்படுத்துகிறது. எங்களுடைய பழக்க வழக்கங்களிலிருந்து எங்களை மாற்றுகிறது. இதுதான் கண்கூடாக கண்ட உண்மை.
That, dear listeners, sums up the impact that Sai Aashraya Seva in this village has created. One more such experience is whenever we would go and be there in this village, the children would come running to us, and during the hot summers the children would say, "Anna, can we go get a kulfi? Can we eat some ice cream?" And we would naturally agree, and we would have to drive half an hour away to Dharmapuri town to get them an ice cream because nobody would even come there. And on one such day we were just carrying out the Medicare Seva and we heard the familiar bell of the ice cream uncle, and the entire village erupted in joy, especially the children. And seeing that sight, it moved all our volunteers to tears. And today you have people selling vegetables, fruit vendors coming there, and one day we even saw bank people come into the village. So the village, the same society that had outcast this village, that saw them very differently, today has understood their wrongdoings and has accepted them as part of their family. Dear listeners, all good work has difficulties, and it is these difficulties that make us move forward. But it's very painful when one has to go through this. And one example is that of this party who had a cataract, and many of these patients develop cataract prematurely and need to get it operated. Invariably, that's the case. And when the number of such cases are more, we are forced to refer them outside, and with the help of the head of the village, we would connect them, get them to go to hospitals and get their cataracts fixed. And on one such occasion, a well-known hospital refused to operate one of these grandmas, and her name is Kamaka Patti. So she came to us and said, the doctor did not even want to touch me. And she said, Kanna, I wish I was not even alive. There's no point in being alive. Neither am I able to see. I'm dependent on everybody to do everything. And she continued being that way. We did our best. But today, sadly, we lost that grandma. She just kept getting depressed, her health worsened, and one day she passed away in her sleep. So dear listeners, that created a very deep impact that left a scar in all our hearts. And what we immediately started doing was looking for hospitals that can get these cataracts operated. And fortunately, a private hospital in Bangalore said, we can do it for you. And it's also a medical college. So they said, come over, bring those patients, we will get them operated, just pay for the consumables. And as a result, today, we're starting to get all their cataracts operated. And that's the same way by which we have been able to get cardiac cases operated, for example. So multiple challenges go into carrying out a particular seva, and like I said before, it is these challenges that make us move forward. Dear listeners, the impact that this seva has created on this village is immense. Not just on this village, also upon neighboring villages. Today we have people coming from neighboring villages and faraway places in Dharmapuri and even other districts like Salem. People come over here to get treatment. Today, this village has become self-sustained. And when all these developments took place, one elder came to us and suggested, he said, we really want to do something. We want to name this village after Sai Aashraya and call it Sai Aashraya Adarsh Gram. When this elder said it, it moved us to tears, and since that day, people referred to this village this way. Dear listeners, that is the sort of impact that gets created when we carry out seva with all our heart. Listening to this, we were all moved to tears. We said, Tata, more than us doing any seva here, it is all of you who have inspired us and made us turn our lives around. Thanks to all of you, we have learned how to face all challenges, defy all the odds, and march ahead in life. The love that is showered upon all of us by the people of this village is immense. Each time Sai Aashraya's team enters this village, the entire village stands there on both the sides and they welcome us. The children jump in joy and it is a sight to see. Dear listeners, as we speak these words, we are reminded of Kamaka Patti. Each time she would come running all the way and she would hug us and she would say, Vandati Adi Kanna, means, oh, you have come, my dear. And that is what is ringing in our hearts today, and that love that is showered upon us is what drives this organization. Dear listeners, as we end this episode, let us all take a pledge that we will do what best we can to the best of our abilities and work selflessly to see ourselves in everybody and then discover our true selves. Thank you so much for tuning in once again. Namaskar and Jai Hind.